Strangers at the Red Door is the timely new novel from award-winning author Dennis Bock. It comes as we hear about pockets of censorship and book banning in our country. Well, imagine it being nationwide. Dennis joins us this morning with more on what sparked this story. And it was actually a book tour that you were on in China.
Yeah, in 2015 I went to China to promote a novel that had been translated there. And you know, when you're on book tour, you go into lots of bookshops, and in these bookshops, I was told again and again about this phenomenon, which had been happening, where in total 5 booksellers in Hong Kong had been disappeared, meaning they'd been essentially kidnapped by the Chinese authorities because they were selling novels, books that had been banned. And so, you know, the idea is if you want to get some novels across the border from Hong Kong to the mainland, you carry them over on your own as a bookseller. And my novel sort of focuses on a bookseller who does this from Hong Kong to China, and she's detained. And the story is, well, where does she go, and what is her fate?
Right, and it's about a ghostwriter and a ghost as well, because it's the ghost of the person whose story that she's trying to get out.
Yeah, the ghostwriter, I mean, I went to China twice in 2015. The first time I found myself sitting at a train station in Shanghai, and a young man sat in front of me, across from me at the station, and he was wearing manacles and leg irons. He was a prisoner, quite clearly being transported to or from prison, and he had a minder beside him. And so I thought, this is so unusual. You know, this guy is clearly a prisoner, is being transported like on a train, not in a police vehicle or something. So that was really strange. And as I watched this incredible phenomenon happened. A drone appeared over their heads. A woman, an older lady, was selling trinkets and so on, and she was selling drones. And the drone wasn't an ordinary drone. It was a drone. It was like a ballerina fairy-shaped drone, and the tutu was the propeller, and this drone magically appeared almost magically appeared over the prisoner's head. And I thought, well, this has to be a story. Something is going on here.
And it's such an integral part of the story.
And it's such an integral part. And I went home and I wrote a short story based on what I had observed. And so in the story I wrote, I became the ghostwriter, but I didn't know who the prisoner would be. And then 6 months later, I went back to China and I heard the stories of the disappeared, the kidnapped booksellers, and I thought, oh, okay, this is who this prisoner was. And the story just sort of unfolded like that.
Right. The story also has this, and as I'm reading this, I'm like, okay, this has got to be a true story of prisoners in a factory that were making greeting cards for the UK.
Yeah.
Sending out messages in these greeting cards that they were writing, and it's actually it's based on a true story. We've got a photo here of a little girl who found one of these Christmas cards. Yeah, it's too good to make up. I mean, I stumbled across that article in The Guardian, and I thought, oh my God, like this is such an amazing call for help. Political prisoners, foreign, they happen to be foreigners, but they were political prisoners in prison in China. They worked in a greeting card factory in the prison, and so they began to write messages of help that were sent out in bulk, you know, to the retailers that were going to sell their Christmas cards, and this is how they communicated with the outside world. It's fascinating.
So I used that in my novel. So you know, as a novelist, I invent a lot of things. I come up with, I don't know where things come from in my head, but there are other, you know, notes of reality and events that happen in the real world that I sort of, you know, I hobble together with my imaginative process, and here we have this novel.
And it's all about, every story thread in here is the message of trying to get your story out.
Yeah, which is what a lot of writers can't do, I think, in China and in other countries, and you know, creepingly in this country a little bit.
In Alberta?
It's certainly not as severe, not by a long shot. But you know, what's happening in Alberta is is kind of absurd, but it's also, I think, a blessing in disguise, because the mandate is it's so outrageous. I mean, you can open any novel that's published these days and find a naughty word in it, or a sex scene that's going to offend somebody. It just makes people want to read them more. Yeah, and so the government's trying to sanitize our literature in a way that is, I mean, the PR rollout for this has been absolutely disastrous, and the premier in Alberta is trying to walk it back somewhat. I mean, when you put your finger on a novel by Margaret Atwood or George Orwell or J.D. Salinger or Maya Angelou and say, our children shouldn't be reading this. I mean, these are some of the best novels and novelists we have, or the world has it in the English language at least. And so it sort of exposes the very shallow thinking that went into to creating this mandate. Dennis, I've got to cut you off there because we've run out of time, but thank you so much for Strangers at the Red Door. Out now. Terrific story. Thank you so much. Thank you.